Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad you tuned in today. This is going to be very important. This is going to be something I can almost absolutely guarantee you've never heard in your life. I'm going to talk about race, racism, and the solution to it. Now, that's a giant subject. Not many people will talk about it. They talk about the problem, but not the solution. I'm going to talk to you about the solution. Now, I've done a couple of programs on it, so if you didn't see those programs, that's okay. I'm going to catch you up real quick, and then we're going to go on. The programs, you can watch them on our website. They'll be there. You can see them in detail, because I've gone into detail on it. But I'm going to catch up, because we always have new viewers, and we're going to go on from there. I'm going to talk to you also about who you are. I can almost guarantee you've never heard that either, what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to also talk about not only who you are, but how valuable you are right now without doing a single thing. So I've got a lot to cover, but this is hugely important. This could change your life if you let it get in your heart. So let me begin with a quick review of what we've been talking about. In the year 2003, April of 2003, they completed a project that they'd been working on. Scientists all over the world have been working on this project for 13 years. It was called the Human Genome Project. The point of the project was to map our gene, the human gene, for the first time. Took them 13 years, but they finished it in April 2003. They actually did it. They fully mapped for the first time the human gene. So after they mapped it, they put out a report. And the report, they said some things that just were amazing. First of all, they found out that all over the world, humans, it doesn't matter what tone of skin you have, doesn't matter how tall you are, short you are, where you live on the planet, all humans, our genes, listen now, our genes are 99.9% exactly alike, identical. Your genes, my genes, we are 99% identical to one another and to everybody else on this planet. They also put out in the report, we need to stop using the word race. Because, in fact, there are no races. There's just one race, the human race. Our genes are identical, folks, 99.9%. There are no races. We are all part of the same single race, the human race. Now, there's an incredibly good chance you've never heard that before, because it's hardly ever talked about. This is like the biggest story of the 21st century. There are no races. Think about all the garbage that's going on in the name of race. And there are no races. Now, we found that out in April of 2003. Think of where we are in time right now. How much have you heard about it since April of 2003? Almost nothing, if anything at all. I'm sitting in a TV studio and there's a news desk behind me. It should have been the biggest news story, and we should be talking about it. In fact, it should be just part of our common language now that there are no races, we're one race. Skin tone means nothing. Nothing. We're one race. One people. They not only said that, they put out in the report, not only are we a single race, we're actually all cousins of each other. We're related to each other. Think about that. You're my cousin and I'm your cousin. We're cousins to everybody in Africa, Asia, Philippines, Europe. They're all our cousins. We're all related to one another because we all come from an original man and an original woman. We can all trace our ancestry back to an original man and an original woman. Isn't that fascinating? Because that's exactly what the Bible says. Now, I'm a minister, so I love the Bible. That's exactly what the Bible said, that God made The original man, original woman, Adam and Eve, and we are all descended from them. Finally, in April of 2003, science, by the way, this is not theoretical science, hard science, confirmed what the Bible had said, and it was written in the book of Genesis almost 3,500 years ago by Moses. That we are all came from Adam and Eve, all people on the earth. We are one race. In fact, in the previous program I said this, I'll say it quickly, the Bible doesn't even talk about skin tone. It talks about everything that has to do with the human race, governments, economies, raising kids, marriage, anything that's got to do with humanity is in the Bible. Do you know what the Bible doesn't talk about at all? Color of skin. The reason it doesn't talk about it is because it's meaningless. Means nothing. I mean, I want you to think about that. It means nothing. But that's all we hear about. Problems between the races, racial issues. Now, stay with me for a minute. Remember, we're cousins now. I want you to listen to this. When I discovered the Human Genome Project, started thinking about it, I just had never really thought about it before. Where then did the whole concept of race, racism, superior races, inferior races, where did that whole thing start? Who came up with that idea? That your skin tone means something, the color of your skin, and that there's superior and inferior races. So I did the research. Now, as soon as I tell it to you, you're going to go, oh yeah, of course. Guess where it started? It started with Charles Darwin and the theory of evolution. Say it again. Started with Charles Darwin and the theory of evolution. Now, you probably haven't heard that theory in a long time unless you're in school right now. It may have been years since you've heard the theory. But that's where it started. Now, before Darwin, there were scientists that believed that were trying to make a case that biologically that skin tone meant something and that there was some differences between people because of the skin tone. But it wasn't an accepted thing in any way, shape, or form. In fact, there was big arguments between scientists about it. But when Darwin came along and wrote his book called The Origin of the Species, came out in 1859, the scientific world just jumped on his theory. They just bought into it. They loved it. Now, I'm going to tell you the theory real quick, so in case you haven't heard it for a while, you need to hear the theory because this is really important. I'm going to show you the lie that we were sold. So here's the theory. First of all, there is no God. No God. There's the earth. No explanation of how it got here or the rest of the universe. But there's the earth. No life on the earth at all. No life. None. Zero, zip, none. No bacteria. No, just nothing. There's no life. Nobody's directing life because there's no God. Nobody's directing anything. There's nothing making things happen. There's no mind that has a plan that's causing the plan to go into action. They're just simply here by pure random chance. There it is, the earth, water, there's some graphene. And by just absolute, now think about this is the theory. By just pure, absolute, random chance, absolute accident, somehow we went from no life to suddenly a single simple cell was created. Just came into being. Now, Darwin put out his theory in 1859, ladies and gentlemen. You know where we are in time right now. To this day, at this moment in time, there is not a scientist on this planet. Please listen. There is not a scientist on the earth that can explain how we went from no life to life. Can't explain it. They've tried a zillion theories to try to explain it. All the theories fail. No one knows how it works. They don't know. There's not a scientist in the world that can tell you how we went from no life to life. But that didn't seem to matter to the scientific world, that you couldn't explain it. In fact, Darwin's theory was so full of holes, people had to take gigantic leaps of faith to believe in it. But the scientific world wanted to believe in it because there was no God, and that was the biggest thing of all in the theory. There is no God. And so instead of believing those guys that believe in the Bible and the church, believe us scientists. See, we can explain how biological life came on the earth. We don't need the church. We don't need God. We don't need those religious people. They're always trying to tell us that they're smarter than us, and the Bible, is smarter than science. And it had been, the Bible always trumped science. If there was a dispute between the two, the Bible always won. People always went with the Bible. The scientists said, no, we're the wise guys. We're the wise ones. Listen to us. We're the ones with the answers. And these are not small scientists. These are like major universities. Harvard, Yale, Oxford, Cambridge, all the major universities in Europe. They bought into this theory. Now you know the horrible garbage that's come and happened since that theory came out. They say, how did it happen? Charles Darwin had a cousin, Sir Francis Galton. When Sir Francis Galton, his cousin, heard his theory, he said, yeah, you found the answer. That's the answer. It was Sir Francis Galton that invented the word eugenics. You might have heard that word before. Eugenics. Superior races, inferior races. Because obviously, since we're all evolved, we're all animals. We're just animals. Nobody created us. Nobody made us. There was no plan behind any of it. It was simply a pure random accident. So, of course, the only logical conclusion would be that some of the animals, the human animals, had evolved more than other of the human animals. And Darwin and his cousin, both being light-skinned, guess who the ones that had evolved the most were? The light-skinned people. So if you had light skin, you were more evolved, and if you have dark skin, the darker your skin were, the less evolved you were. Amazing to think about that, isn't that? Ladies and gentlemen, they went down, not Darwin, but the scientists, because Darwin put out his theory and told all this, said, believe me, this is it, this is the answer. Scientists believe it everywhere. So scientists started buying into it. They believed that the Aborigine people down in Australia were the missing link. They were part ape, part human. Scientists sent people down to Australia and had Aborigine people shot so they could bring their bodies back up to Europe and dissect them, because they wanted to dissect the missing link, the half part human, part ape. Because after all, it's just an animal. It's amazing, isn't it? Communism. I talked about this before, but I'm going to go through it really quickly. Marx came along. Marx wrote his book on communism, Marxism. And people started buying into Marxism and started spreading communism did. You know what happened. They began having revolutions. People began joining the revolutions. Between the Soviet Union and China, just those two countries, they killed between them over 100 million of their own people, ladies and gentlemen. They were pure evolutionists, the Marxists. They believed no God. They believed humans were animals. So what's the difference if you kill people? Kill 100 million, 200 million? What's the difference? They're just animals anyway. The Holocaust came out of the theory of evolution and eugenics. a master race, and we have to get rid of the races that are less evolved because we have to save the master race. Now this is all what happened with evolution. Now I could talk to you hours about this. But that's the theory, and that's what happened. And there's a simple principle. If you want to know something, look at the fruit that it bears. Look at the fruit that comes from it. Can you think of a single thing good that came from evolution? Anything that blessed the human race in the least? Nothing. All they did was produce misery, death, slavery. Gave joy to nobody. Now, in 2003, in April, the Human Genome Project was completed. And it blew a gigantic hole in the theory of evolution because they found out we are one race. Skin tone means nothing. Shape of your eyes means nothing. We are one race, the human race, ladies and gentlemen, one race. Now, I'm going to tell you, that's what we've been told about race. Race, the whole concept of it is a lie. There is no races. We're all one. If you've ever been told in any way, shape, or form that you're less because of the color of your skin, you've been lied to. If you've ever been told that you are more because of the color of your skin, you have been lied to. We were all lied to by this terrible, horrific theory and what it produced. Now I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you who you really are, what God said you are. God said you are, now listen to this. God says you are priceless. Priceless. You don't have to do anything to be priceless. There's nothing you have to change. There's no behavior. There's not a single thing you've got to go do to become priceless. You are, at this very moment, while you're listening to me, you already are priceless. And you're created by God in His image and His likeness. I'm going to read real quick from Genesis chapter 1. God created the animals. I'm going to go real quick here. God created animals and cattle and all the different living creatures. And then He made man. I'm going to read what it says about God making man. This is about you and I. This is about humanity, the human race. God said, this is Genesis 1, God said, now, let us conceive, think about this now. This is God speaking. Now, let us conceive a new creation, humanity, made in our image, fashioned in our likeness. God made us like Him. And let us grant them authority over all the earth, the fish of the sea, the birds in the sky, the domesticated animals, and all the creatures that creep on the face of the earth. So God did just that. He created humanity in His image, created them male and female. And God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful, multiply, govern the earth, replenish it, have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and over every living thing that creeps on the face of the earth. You are created in the image of God by our Creator. That's who you are. That's who I am. That's who every human on this planet is. We're all created in the image of God. Now, not only are we all created, ladies and gentlemen, in the image of God, which is huge to think about it. In the Message Bible, it says, He created us to be God-like, reflecting His nature. He also said we are priceless. Now you say, how could we be priceless? I'll tell you. The first man and the first woman, you've heard of Adam and Eve. They were the first man and the first woman. That was their names when God made them, and He named them Adam and Eve. And there was only one thing they weren't supposed to do. But there's an enemy. The same enemy who put the thoughts, and he's the one that puts thoughts in people's minds. He puts thoughts in your minds, and in your mind, and my mind, and everybody's minds. He tries to get us to do stupid things. He's always trying to sell us lies. And the lie he's always trying to sell us is that we are not who God says we are. That we're less. That we have to do something to become somebody. That we are nobody. So the enemy the enemy came to the first man and first woman, and he tempted them. And the temptation was, if you'll do this one thing God says you're not supposed to do, you'll be just like God. Ladies and gentlemen, they were just like God. But he was questioning, see what God said wasn't true. You're not like him, but if you'll do this, you'll be like him. They bought the lie and they fell. And since they fell, all the human race, ever since then, we've been dealing with what they did, with their fall, with the sin that they committed. And then every human that's come after them, and we all are their ancestors, every single one of us, we've all messed up. You messed up, I messed up. We've all done that. And we all have in our hearts the knowledge of right and wrong, because we are created in God's image and his likeness. He put in us the knowledge of right and wrong. We put inside of us the knowledge of good and what's evil. And we all do wrong, knowing it's wrong while we do it, but we still do it anyway. All of us do that, ladies and gentlemen, and we all do it. The problem is, just like the original man and woman, that puts us into a jam. It puts a barrier between us and God. And the whole human race had done it. We all had done wrong. Now, God could have wiped us out, but listen to me. He loves you so much. He values you and I and the whole human race so much that he didn't want us to pay for what we had done wrong. Because God's a God of justice and he's a God of love. The justice part says justice has to be paid. Somebody's got to take care of all the wrong that everybody's done. But God's a God of love, and he says, I don't want them to have to pay because I love them so much. They're so valuable and so precious. I'm going to pay for what they did wrong. So he sent his son, Jesus. Listen now. He sent his son, Jesus. And Jesus came and lived a perfect life, and he went to a cross. You know that Jesus went to a cross. You've heard that. What happened on that cross? He took all of the wrong that you did, all the wrong that I've done, and all the wrong that every human on this planet's ever done. He took it all. He bore it on himself, and he paid the price for what I did wrong and for what you did, for what you did wrong. He paid the price for what we all did. He took care of it. He paid the bill in our place. He paid the bill. Jesus did it for us. And the price he paid was the blood of the price that God paid to pay the bill that we had all done wrong, to pay for what we had all done wrong. He paid with the blood of his son, Jesus. And that blood, ladies and gentlemen, is priceless. Priceless. If I have an auction right now, let's say we have an auction. I'll do this really quickly. I've got a few minutes. Let's say we were auctioning off a car. There's a car right here. So the auctioneer's auctioning things, and about to auction this car, there's all kind of chatter going on about what they think the price is. But they finally come and they're going to auction the car. So they start the bids, and they bid. They finally get to the final bid. The person goes, I'm going to give this much money, and that's the final bid. And he says, so that's what I'm willing to pay for the car. He then walks over, puts down the money down to buy the car. And ladies and gentlemen, that person has set the value of the car, because this is the principle. The person, now listen to this. The way you establish the value of anything is you've got to have the price to pay for it. You're willing to pay for it, and you actually pay for the thing. I'm going to say it again. You've got to have the price to pay for the thing, you're willing to pay for it, and you actually pay. That's how you set the value of anything. A house, a corporation, a boat, a car, a box of soap. It doesn't matter. Ladies and gentlemen, the highest price, the greatest price ever paid to purchase anything was paid to buy you and buy me. God had the price to pay. He was willing to pay, and he paid it. He paid the priceless blood of Jesus to buy us from slavery to freedom. You are priceless. You are priceless. You're priceless. You're created in God's image, and you're priceless. And now God says this, I fixed it for you, ladies and gentlemen. I fixed it for all the human race. I created you in my image. You messed up. I bought you back, and you are priceless. And now I have an offer for you. And here's the offer. I want people who want to choose me because they just, out of their own free will, they love me and they want to love me and they want to have a relationship with me. So I'm offering you this. If you'll say yes to me, all you have to do is just simply say yes. I'll take you into my family. I'll make you a brand new creation. I'll make you one of my children. You're already priceless. I took care of that. I already bought you back. You're made in my image, but I want to have an eternal, personal relationship with you. And the way you have that relationship is simply to tell God, yes, I want to have that relationship. You may never have told him that before, but you can say that right now with me. Just pray a prayer with me. I'm going to lead you in a prayer quickly. Just follow after me and pray this prayer. Ask him to come and be into your life. Tell him, yes, I want to be in your family. I want that offer. I want to come spend eternity with you. I exercise my free will. You made me in your image. I've got free will, and I'm choosing you, God. Just follow me by saying this. Right now, pray this prayer. Mean it from your heart. Say, Jesus, come into my heart. Make me a brand new person. I say yes to you. I take your offer. I say yes to you, God. I want your offer. I want to be your child. I want to be in your family. Make me your child. Jesus, you are my Lord. Thank you for all that you did for me. I'm yours forever. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, he's in you right now, and you are eternally in the family of God. I'm completely out of time. I got lots more to talk to you about. We'll talk to you about it next week. Please tune in. Remember, you are priceless. You are created in the image of God. I'll see you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear from you. You can send me a text or an email to michael@michaeldalton.com, or you can call the 800 number that you see on the screen. You can also just go on our website, click on the Contact Us page, and from right there you can send us a message. You can also write to us at the address that's on the screen. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks for watching.